Hey everyone, I'm Erin. You've been asking about what happened with my sister-in-law, and trust me, it's a wild ride. Let me start from the beginning. Life wasn't always picture perfect. 10 years ago, I was just an 18-year-old trying to keep it together for my two younger brothers after our parents' car accident. I'll never forget standing in our tiny apartment kitchen, looking at Mike and Carl's hungry faces. "We'll be okay," I promised, forcing a smile through my tears. "We're staying together, no matter what." The next day, I got a job at Wonderland Park. The pay wasn't great, but the hours were flexible. Kids would come up and ask, "Miss, can you make the cotton candy look like a princess?" I'd turn it into a game, making them laugh while their parents recorded on their phones. One day, I decided to film myself at work. A day in the life of a sister mom. I posted it online, and the views exploded. People connected with our story. What started as a few followers quickly grew into hundreds, then thousands, and eventually millions. "Erin, your latest video made me cry," my coworker said one day. "The part about teaching Carl to ride a bike? So sweet." It was around then that James walked into my life. My friend Sarah brought him to the park one summer evening. "You must be the famous Erin," he said, smiling. "Sarah won't stop talking about your channel." We clicked instantly. He didn't see a girl from the wrong side of the tracks. He saw someone who fought for her family. 2 years later, we were standing at the altar. Mike, now 22, was our best man, and Carl, 18, couldn't stop grinning. That's when I met Patricia, James's sister. She hugged me at the reception, all smiles and designer perfume. "Welcome to the family, dear," she said sweetly. "James told us about your interesting background. So brave of you to share everything online." I felt the sting but smiled anyway. Later that night, I overheard her talking to James's mom. "Did you see her brothers? At least she managed to keep them out of trouble, considering where they came from." "They're honor students," I said, making her jump. "Carl just got accepted to Stanford on a full scholarship. James wrapped his arm around me, and Mike's starting his master's program next fall." Patricia's smile tightened. "How wonderful. You must be so proud of pulling yourself up from, well, you know." She walked off, dropping hints about my past to anyone who'd listen. If only she knew what was coming. That night, in our hotel room, James held me close. "Don't let her get to you, babe. You're the strongest person I know." "I'm not worried," I said, thinking of the millions of followers who loved our family's journey. Some people just can't stand to see others succeed. Little did Patricia know, her attempts to dig up dirt on me would backfire spectacularly. But that's a story for another day. The tension at James's parents' house was palpable. Over dinner, Patricia scrolled through her phone, a smug smile on her face. "Erin, sweetie," she said, her voice dripping with fox innocence. "Wasn't the Starlight Club near your old neighborhood? Such an interesting place." I kept my face neutral, focusing on my plate. James's mom shifted uncomfortably. "Speaking of interesting places," Patricia continued, "I ran into someone who said they knew you from back then. Said you were quite the performer." James's dad cleared his throat. "Patricia, perhaps this isn't appropriate dinner conversation." Later that week, Mike burst into my house, breathless. "Erin, you won't believe what I just heard," he said. I was at the coffee shop near Patricia's office. She was there with some sketchy-looking guy. He was showing her old photos of you from the club. My heart sank. What did she say? She kept talking about a family reunion and how she'd show everyone the real you. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was Carl. "Hey sis, heads up. Patricia's been asking around about you at my old high school. She even tried to contact my guidance counselor." "Let her dig," I said, surprisingly calm. "She won't find anything I'm ashamed of." The next family dinner was a disaster. Patricia accidentally left her laptop open, with old photos of me displayed on the screen. "Oh, Erin," Patricia exclaimed, her voice dripping with fox concern. "I hope those photos weren't too private. You know how quickly things can spread online." James's mom pulled me aside later, her brow furrowed. "Dear, is everything okay?" Patricia mentioned. "Some concerns about your past." I met her gaze, unwavering. "Mrs. Reynolds, I've always been honest about my life. You can ask James." That night, I discovered Patricia had contacted 3 of my old coworkers from the Starlight Club. My social media was flooded with friend requests from people I'd long tried to forget. "You won't believe this," Mike texted. Patricia's planning something big for the reunion next month. She was on the phone talking about a presentation. James found me sitting in our bedroom, staring at old photos. He knelt beside me, his eyes full of understanding. Aaron, Mike told me everything. I exhaled, the weight of my past heavy on my chest. I had to do it, James. The hospital wouldn't treat Carl without a deposit. Dancing paid more in 3 months than Wonderland Park could in a year. He pulled me into a tight embrace. I know, babe. I always known. And now Patricia's about to learn that shaming someone for surviving is a dangerous game. A slow smile spread across my face. Patricia had no idea the trap she was setting for herself. Sometimes karma needs a little push, and she was about to get shoved. Carl called again that evening. Aaron, whatever Patricia's planning, we've got your back. No one messes with our sister. I hung up, feeling stronger than ever. Let Patricia think she had the upper hand. The higher she climbed, the harder she'd fall. The family reunion buzzed with laughter and chatter, the Reynolds backyard alive with twinkling lights. Then Patricia dimmed them, silencing the crowd. My heart quickened as she stood before everyone, a projector at the ready, and that signature smirk plastered on her face. Family and friends, she began, feigning gravity, I have something important to share about our dear Aaron. The first slide flashed onto the screen, me in my old dancing outfit. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Before she trapped my brother, Patricia continued dramatically. Aaron lived quite a different life. Here she is at the Starlight Club. More photos followed, me counting bills, posing in costumes. And here's the best part, she said with a triumphant sneer. She was seeing 3 wealthy men while dating James. The silence was electric. Then James stood, squeezing my hand. Actually, Pat, those wealthy men were my business partners, he said calmly. You remember them, right? You borrowed money from them to cover your casino debts. Patricia's smug expression faltered. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? James pulled out his phone, his tone deadly cool. Let me refresh your memory. February 15th, you borrowed $50,000 from the company account. March 3rd, another $75,000. Funny how those dates line up with your Vegas trips. Patricia's face turned ghostly white. That's private information. Like Aaron's past? James shot back. The past she told me about on our 3rd date, the one where she danced to save her brother's life. Mr. Reynolds stood abruptly, his face a storm of anger. Patricia, what's this about company money? Daddy, I can explain. Like you explained how Aaron was a gold digger, James interjected smoothly, while you were embezzling from the family business. Mrs. Reynolds gasped. The missing client payments, that was you. I've been tracking the discrepancies for months, James continued. Every time money disappeared, you were on another Vegas trip. The casino receipts match perfectly. Patricia's hands trembled as she tried to shut off the projector. You don't understand, I was going to pay it back. Like you paid back the $30,000 you stole from Mom's retirement fund? James asked quietly. The crowd murmured in shock. The projector still displayed my old photos, but no one was looking at them anymore. I stood my voice steady. I'm not ashamed of my past, Patricia. Every dollar I earned kept my family alive and together. What did your stolen money go to? Blackjack? Roulette? Patricia's voice broke. Aye. She turned to her father, but Mr. Reynolds was already on his phone. Yes, I need to report an embezzlement case, he said coldly. Daddy, please. Patricia collapsed into a chair, her mascara streaking down her cheeks. I watched as her carefully curated facade shattered. James wrapped an arm around me protectively. I told you about my past because I trust you, I whispered. He smiled, loud enough for everyone to hear. And I've never been more proud to be your husband. As the lights came back on, Patricia remained in the shadows, sobbing as her world crumbled around her. 2 weeks after the reunion, I stood by my kitchen window, watching her load the last box into her beaten-up Honda. The family guest house, where she lived rent-free for years, would soon be empty. Aaron, dear. Mrs. Reynolds appeared at my door, her eyes red and weary. We owe you an apology. We should have seen through Patricia's manipulation. You couldn't have known, I said, offering her a cup of coffee. I smiled. They're my greatest achievement. My phone buzzed with a message from Patricia's ex-fiancé. Just saw your video about what happened. I had no idea about the gambling. Thank you for saving me from a huge mistake. I glanced at my latest post, my past, my pride. It had already racked up 5 million views. The comment section overflowed with support. You turned dancing into an empire queen. Raised 2 brothers and built a business. Iconic. Patricia who? Only know Aaron the legend. The fallout for Patricia was swift. News of her embezzlement spread fast, and her law firm didn't take kindly to criminal charges. Last I heard, she was interviewing at fast food chains. Going live in 5, my producer called out. Since the scandal, my podcast Rising Above had skyrocketed in popularity. Today's topic, turning shame into success. Speaking into the microphone, I began sometimes people will try to use your past to destroy your future. But here's the truth. Every struggle is a story of survival. During a break, James brought me water. Guess who I saw at Walmart? He said. Patricia, he answered, amused. She's working as a cashier. How the mighty fall, I mused. Did she say anything? Nope. Just kept her head down. Pretty different from when she was flaunting those photos. That evening, my brothers came over. Carl beamed as he showed off his Stanford diploma, and Mike was brimming with excitement about his upcoming job at SpaceX. Remember when you used to make us hot dogs and call it steak? Carl laughed. Remember when Patricia said we'd end up in jail? Mike added with a smirk. Look at us now. As we reminisced, my phone lit up with a notification. Patricia had tried to follow my business Instagram. 7 million followers and counting while she struggled to make rent. Should I accept? I asked James. He chuckled. Let her watch from afar. I smiled, declining her request. Sometimes the best revenge is living well. I looked around at my beautiful life. A loving husband, successful brothers, a thriving career, supportive in-laws, and a platform that helped others rise above their struggles. You know what? I said, turning back to James. Some people need to learn that when you dig graves for others, you might just fall into one yourself. As my podcast intro music began, I leaned into the mic. Time for another episode of Turning Pain into Power. What would you do if someone tried to shame you for your survival story? Would you expose their secrets immediately or let them dig their own grave like I did? I'd love to hear your thoughts, especially if you've ever dealt with toxic family members trying to tear you down. Sometimes, the hardest part isn't surviving the struggle. It's facing the people who weaponize it against you. Drop it if you believe your past made you stronger, not weaker.